Thanks, Alan, for the opportunity today to just, I suppose, demonstrate what we have done since 2012. And up here on the screen, back then, BIM was kind of the unknown. It was very, very new. We embarked on the process for a very, very challenging project in London Bridge Station, and it was enormously successful, which led us on to, I suppose, where we are today. So what I'd like to just tell you today is a few things about where we've been and where we have come from and where we're going. So the underlying factor, I suppose, in our industry is that we can see clearly that construction has a major problem. Through all of the industries that's out there, we are at the very, very bottom of the table in terms of productivity. What we're able to do, I suppose, and what we're able to enable is change. And change can be brought through with digital tools. We have improved our own performances, which I'm going to show you later in the presentation, both on and off site. The industry is changing, and so has BIM. So when we started back in 2012, it was basically all the models were coming through servers. They're now coming through cloud-based systems. So the manufacturing industry is undergoing intense change and is in response to many shaping forces: emerging technologies, artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics and code is also coming into it. But the overarching factor, I suppose, is that the experience with BIM for most customers now is becoming better. That experience, through the RICS report recently, you can see that the adaptation of change is coming. The approach to change is being accepted by a lot more than what it was. And if you went through question 1 to question 4, right through the whole process, you can see the benefits of using the BIM process. We utilize BIM every day in our business. And what we have done now since 2012 is coming from the first cycle of the BIM process, enabling the BIM process in our business, was a major challenge for us. It was a complete new change, moving from traditional to digital. But along the road and along the steps, we have now developed a lot better processes, and we have now, as a company, I suppose, brought ourselves into the smart manufacturing world by using the BIM tools and the collaboration of BIM as whole. We have also been able to adapt our own principles, and we call it revolutionising the rebar industry. We're a steel manufacturer who would be basically changing rebar. Now, up till very, very recently, nothing was ever done with rebar in the last 100 years. We've developed a process called Faster Fix by utilising the BIM tools, by utilising what we can do with BIM. That's given us a system where we have now BIM process evolving into a smart manufacturing principle in our factory, developing the product, delivering it just in time. But more importantly, I suppose, which is on everybody's agenda right now, is sustainability. And the following slides will demonstrate the process as we are going through it in our company and the change it's making to us. So now everything we do from about 2013-14 has been involved is utilising the IFC process. This for us was a complete game changer. We enabled ourselves to be able to collaborate more than be singular in our market. So we were collaborating with people now in a full transparent tool with all of the RFI-based principles on our right-hand side in the screen there. But more importantly, I suppose, all of the data was in one place. So we spent hours and hours and hours in the previous past of having data in different locations. This enabled us to bring data into one place and then start thinking about delivering full-size optimal solutions for the industry and being, I suppose, far more efficient in our process. That has enabled us to deliver 3D rebar, as you can see it here, but also it enables the engineering world that is working with us and the quantity surveying world to do all their methods of measurement in it and also see their design. Faster Fix is a process. The whole system has been developed by the utilisation of BIM. Had we not went down the BIM route, it's fair to say we probably wouldn't have developed the product. But what it did for us as a company, I suppose, is it started to open our minds in terms of what you can achieve with BIM. So not only are we able to look at stuff in 3D, but we're also able to explore the options of what we can actually achieve using the process. And what you're looking at here
is an evolution and reinforcement in terms of the delivery of programs and the delivery of schedules on jobs. Those units that you're looking at in the photos on the left, top and right, they're normally a couple of day process with 4 or 5 people. We saw the need for this development of this process to bring it off-site because we couldn't get the people. BIM itself has enabled us to do this, and without it we would never have been able to do it. So what we have now is a system that's just in time. We have increased site safety, we have a complete delivery process all done off-site, full traceability, on-site steel storage is eliminated on the site, and we have a 75% faster process than the traditional world being developed through the BIM models. The utilisation of that for our sustainability goals is a key driver is in the design criteria. So I'll demonstrate in a moment how we see that changing too within the BIM world and what it can do. And utilising the BIM tools and what we can achieve is enormous. So by looking at design prior it being implemented from the cost manager's point of view is a major, major effect on how costs can be controlled in the job. Reducing carbon emissions is a key driver for us, and we're doing that by having developed a process. By taking people off-site, we are now able to prove, and have done a case study with it, that we can reduce the carbon emissions on the rebar manufacturing and the delivery and placement by up to 12.6%. And we're only starting down that route, but again, we're utilising the BIM process to be enabling us to do that measurement. Efficient detailing is absolutely key, but we are now guaranteeing our customers that we will provide them with 0% waste on their projects. We had a project very, very recently where we had achieved the traditional process and we had our process, and we compared the two. And in one instance, there was 40% waste in the traditional process from what we were seeing against the BIM process of what we can achieve. You know, so our carbon footprint is very important to us, and reducing the carbon footprint and also our energy requirements, which is why we have changed the way we do our business in our factory. So we believe we're on the cusp of a new era in terms of where BIM is going. But there are some major changes that need to take place within our industry to bring those construction levels on the first slide from nearly zero in productivity, lean management and process back up the chain to where manufacturing is now. Manufacturing has been forced down the route of having to be lean and having to think outside the box. We have no choice but to do that in order to be competitive. So where we are now and where we can go, it's a whole new world than where it was back in 2012, 2013. It's my belief that educating the relevant people in BIM and what benefit it brings to cost management is extremely important. The decision makers and the influencers of our industry are predominantly the commercial people who are answering to the developer or the client or whoever he may be. And what you're looking at here is the current process of the developer will give it to the architect will give it to the cost manager. He will suggest from the structural engineer options as to what way it should be or could be built from a structural point of view, and then the tier 1 contract gets the opportunity to tender it. What's fragmentally wrong with this is that there is no input whatsoever from the people who are doing manufacturing, from the people who are on the ground every day and understand the most leanest process that you can achieve. We've had to be lean, we've had to be at the best of our game to be able to be competitive. And this is having a major effect on cost to buildings, but it's also having a major effect on non-collaboration because it's singular. The BIM process itself here, if utilised properly, can bring enormous benefit. If the developer come client talks to his architect and gives him his vision, he then talks to his structural engineer and his cost manager at the same time, but includes the manufacturing world. At that point, as they're doing their cost management tender process, the amount of cost and change and efficiency you can get by just including your downstream to the industry is absolutely enormous, and we've proved that now in many case studies, which gives the opportunity to the Tier 1 contractor to have a tender which he knows is already the leanest process. He doesn't have to go through all the chains of management to try and find the cheapest possible price. And we all know what happens when you get the cheapest possible price. 89, 90 times out of 10, there's a problem. Somebody's going to suffer, or people are going to have a business. So for me, constructible delivery, engage in early supply chain involvement and assessing by utilising BIM is the way forward for the best value for the client. And a lot of the clients that we're talking to now are now adapting this change, and they're taking that change on board. Early stage involvement, that I've just mentioned, is critical, but BIM is underpinning this, as it's not a cost, it's a benefit. There's a lot of assessment in our industry that BIM is actually a cost. Why are we doing it? It's not traditional. We've always done it this way. Why can't we do it the same as we've always done it? Well, we're on the cusp of change, and what you see here is an anomaly of all the benefits you get from BIM. Detailed design, conceptual design, detailed design analysis. The analysis of that design is the key factor in the whole process of the delivery of any structure anywhere in the world. Standardization of the analysis is also an established benefit and brings established cost benefits through being able then to quantify all your documentation in the BIM model, bring it to fabrication, construct it in 4 and 5D. And then, as you can see on the rest of the chain, logistics, maintenance, programming, the whole process is tied into one. So everybody is collaborative. The biggest benefit that we've seen utilising the BIM process, I would say, is that we've had a collaborative process with everybody. Everybody's had their say in the model. As a to-do system, everybody is engaged. There is a 3 to 4 minute window where you get an email on your phone to say this is what's happening. You're going to see it immediately. There's no retrospective cost in design. There's no retrospective cost of manufacturing. If there's a problem, it's stopped and it's dealt with. So what we believe and what we're doing in our business, digitalization is driving manufacturing forward, but it's also driving Midland Steel forward. And us as a company now, BIM is no longer just building information and management as the old world used to be. Like, that's what we started out as. We started out utilizing BIM primarily for 3D. We didn't know what we were doing in terms of data. We didn't know what the benefits would have been. But this for us now has now brought us to the data collection as part of the process. Clash detection is another section of it. But we've now stepped it up, I suppose, and we've, through the utilization and the delivery of Faster Fix as a product, we've also seen that we can actually enter and bring robotics into our business with 4 and 5D visualizations. So we are now doing everything in our factory. Our whole factory is now BIM enabled. We are BS 19650 in our detailing departments. BIM level 2 task certified. Correlation of all data is in one place. All our installation managers are placing the material on iPads and modules and standardized process, modern methods of construction on a daily basis. So the importance of BIM to us is absolutely enormous. The digital solutions that are critical to delivery, but also delivery of decarbonisation of our industry. So again, that focus is in the back of our minds constantly as to how we can achieve that, by using the digital tools and to be more efficient, because that's where we want to be. We want to be the best in the industry at what we do. So sustainable work on using digitalization, we are developing and have developed the world's first solution in robotics, in reinforcement. There has never been a solution that a robotic arm was able to weld diameters of steel from 10 millimeters up to 50 millimeters. There are machines for welded mesh that make it up to 12, but no machine has ever been invented to take this industry forward in terms of robotics. BIM is an integral part of this for us, enabling us to see what we can do by exportation of files through the BIM process, completely digital through the robots, and that's then brought us on to, I suppose, where we are now. So what we have now in our factory is we have robotic technicians instead of welders. We have automation on the end of our automatic machines, which is far safer than the previous principle was. And as I've said, we've developed the first world's robotic principle, which enables us now to weld to 50 millimeters. From our point of view, I suppose, the critical thing here for us was that we were providing a better, safer, healthier environment for our people, for the people who work on Midland Steel. So this is now the next step of where the industry should go and will go. We believe it will. We are now providing a system end-to-end from the solution of utilising BIM directly into exportation of files and models and welding of product. BIM is changing the world of construction. Whether we like it or not, it's coming. It's a matter of, I suppose, the adaptation of it and the principles of acceptance. The traditionalists on the right-hand side of that arm will always be there. But the people who are going to drive this industry forward are all sitting in this room today. So I'd like to thank you very much for the attention and time for today's conversation.